That is cool watching these guys go smoking out here. Looks like a pretty good
Hello, everybody. Monday night, the weekend after the banquet. Greg still has color in his face. Stanley still has color in his face. Welcome, everybody, to Down and Dirty with the Badger State Tractor Pullers. We're here every Monday night at 7 o'clock, and the banquet was a huge success. How many dollars, Elsine, were raised for American Family Children's Hospital?
132,000.
Wow! And
we started the night with 75. That was raised between the raffle and the pull in, in Baraboo, and we had some tickets donated and by Dean Monty and Chris Feller, and we auctioned them off, and that was a huge success.
So somebody said Lemke won those, right?
He bought the ones from Feller.
Was it 14 grand?
13,500, and Chris Feller matched whatever they were paid. He was going to match whatever was what they were sold for.
That's awesome.
So that was a $27,000 set of tickets.
Wow.
The Bucks game. That was a good game in a suite at Pfizer Forum with playing Golden State. So that's a pretty cool game to go to.
Yeah. No,
yep.
That's
and
amazing.
Jason Round and bid him up, and so did Punky, Nick Score. Nick Score bought one set of the tickets from Dean Monty, and John Holder bought the other set.
Okay. Well, we talk a lot about how big the heart is of the pullers and the pulling family, Greg and John. And this is another example of that. You know, they didn't want to buy Bucks tickets or Badger tickets. Yeah, they did. You could just go on eBay to do that. They're supporting American Family Children's Hospital and a great cause. For something like that, and it's got to make you feel good on the inside. I mean, good on the inside and the outside. And then Dale Kwame, who's been a sponsor of Badger State as long as I can remember, Greg and John. My wife was telling me that his daughter was the one that was the family this year, and she sat at the same table with them, and nobody wants to be there for that video. And then she was sitting at the table with the same people, and just crazy, way to go. So
I don't remember Dale's daughter's name, but she did a little speech there, and she did a great job.
Yeah.
Anya.
What's it?
Anya is her name.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
she had a bake sale, Jason, and through her bake sale, she sold $3,000 worth of baked goods on her own, and she wrote a check herself and gave to UW as well.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was a great show. The toughest thing you do, I know John might see it too when you're up there and they show the video or the kid is, the child is talking or something, and we've got to talk right away after that. You look out and you see all these big tough tractor pullers bawling, and you're supposed to talk after that. It's tough.
Yeah.
It was hard. Twice I had to do all I could to compose myself when I got up there, and the one time there I barely got her done on time. It was hard.
Yep. But other than that, everything else was a success. It was the largest crowd we've ever had, 481 people. The food was great. The band was great. It was a lot of fun. It was a good banquet.
Any major rule changes come out of anything, Greg? Like what you guys had to do with tires?
The tires they just got to be measured to them rules that, at the pull. If you show up with the tires to pull, they have to be under 25 inches wide and under 210 inches round, and at 10 pounds of air. But in 2024, we changed the rule and implemented that instead of 10 pounds of air to blow them up, it's 6, because nobody pulls at 10. But that's just been the rule we've always done. So we're going to drop it down to 6, and that's going to be the measurement.
And did it say something about being suspended? Does that mean anything? Did I read that wrong?
You got to jack them up and put a tape around them anyway. So
that's fine. I just want to get it all out there. So.
Yep, suspended, and then there's an appeal process that we put back. It was in the rule book years ago. You can appeal anything but an on-track decision. So you can't appeal going out of bounds. That's the final call. Yeah.
I was going to say something, and I'm just not. I'm going to just walk away from that one.
I know.
Look at me, Stanley. 10 years ago, I would have said.
Yeah, you're learning control, Jason.
I'm getting old and boring, guys. I'm getting old and boring. So, no, I was going to be at the Badger State Banquet. This is the first Badger State Banquet I've missed in 15 years. And Wayne Purser called me a month ago, and he has the Uncle Sam Mod, and he's become a pretty good friend of mine. And he's like, "Hey, what are you doing December 3rd?" And I'm like, "Well, I got the Badger State Banquet." He goes, I want you to go to Ohio and give out my award for Grand National Pull of the Year. Because I can't be there. And I said, I thought about it. I'm like, I'm not saying no to Wayne Purser. I love you, Elsing, but I'm not saying no to Wayne Purser. So,
right.
But it's a long ways out there. Columbus, Ohio is not close, guys. It was 9 hours one way.
Oh.
So,
yeah.
But my phone was blowing up from everybody from the Badger State Banquet because of all the PPL chatter. I was getting like, "Oh, hey, you're at the NTPA banquet. I heard John Mears is at the NTPA banquet." And I'm like, "Well, John Mears is at the Badger State banquet. So I don't know what's going on." And then all the chatter about how many people, it was fun, kind of, not that your competition, but you kind of are the different associations, because we're all into the sport of truck and tractor pulling, but everybody's got their own association. And it was fun. It was fun, like, because I was hearing down at that banquet, "Oh man, there's 481 people at the Badger State banquet." And then it was just fun, Greg, to kind of see both sides of it. So it was a good time. So
yeah, there was a lot of people there and a lot of free drinks and a lot of free food, and it was good. We gave away $120,000 in a points fund.
Awesome.
That'll be tough to top that one because we got some COVID money, this year. So, and we added that into it, but I doubt they'll do that again. Who knows?
Well, I hope not.
Right.
Because we're paying this inflation that we're all whining about, that we're paying it back. So
yes, we are.
but we're all in it together. We're all in it together. So, hey, if you're just joining us, everybody, it's Monday night, December 5th. Greg Elsine, John Stranley, myself here. Every Monday night we get on here at 7 o'clock. Talk everything Badger State, truck and tractor pulling. We just wrapped up the banquet this weekend up at Kalahari at the Dells. And last week we talked about, how the banquet's grown over the years and just different things. Like it truly is a celebration. It's a celebration of a season, but it's a celebration with your pulling family. And it's something I've been part of for a long time.
Yep.
It's obviously it's a culture that Greg and his family and all the board of directors have just built over time. If you ever want a good story, just talk to Greg on how Badger State got started. I saw Chastain down there because he pulls two-wheel drive truck. And as soon as I saw him, I thought of some of the stories you used to tell me, Greg, that we're not going to repeat on here. But it was a hoot. It was a hoot.
Yeah, he is a fun guy.
Yep. No, he was a good guy. But it was good to see everybody down there as well in Ohio. Got to see Ken Venny. That's always pretty neat. I met Danny Dean, Greg. I've never met Danny Dean before.
I've seen him. I've never talked to him, but
yeah. Von Bauer said, "Hey Schultz, have you ever met Danny Dean?" And I just gave him a big hug. He goes, "You're that beer money guy." And I said, "Yeah." So we took a selfie. And we started talking about tractor pulling. And I said, I grew up in love with the Iron Elk, ROPS, John Deere 4430. He goes, "Oh, I love Warren." And I said, "Let's call him right now." So I called Warren Ropp and he answered. And Danny Dean and Warren Ropp talked on my phone about the good old days. And that gave me some goosebumps. Guys.
Right.
So, pretty neat. It was pretty neat. So, all right. So what did John say? Because I'm getting calls today from people all over the country. Mears was at the Badger State banquet. What did he say? I mean, I know you can't be specific, but can you give a statement of some sort?
Yeah. Lucas Oil will be around.
Lucas Oil will be around or PPL will be around?
Both will be around.
Okay.
Both will be around, in my opinion. They're trying to restructure things. Lucas Oil's trying to eliminate some of their risk liability out there. And by owning the Pro Pulling League, it falls back on them. And you know how the world is these days with people suing for anything. There's a lady that is trying to sue Kraft because the macaroni and cheese took her $5 million because took her 3 minutes to cook the macaroni instead of 2.5. Can you believe that? That was on the news the other day. So that's why you have to just be careful. You can't put yourself out there and risk.
That was back to my comment when somebody said they were going to appeal going out of bounds. I would have. That's my new Kraft macaroni comparison now, Elsie.
Right.
There's white chalk.
What is the world coming to? Stuff happens.
Kevin, it was a wilderness. I said Kalahari. I'm sorry,
Yep.
Kevin, but Kevin called me out on that, so I appreciate him doing that. But no, you're right. And I'm telling you, I've been to the Outlaw Banquet, Greg. I've been to the NTPA Banquet this year, and everybody, we need the PPL. Everybody admits it because there's not enough place for all these pullers to go everywhere. I mean, these were the highest ranking NTPA people there were, and they want the PPL to survive because you can't have Bowling Green numbers at every event, Greg, on the national level. I mean, you just can't. And that has the potential to happen then, right? Then we get into nobody's getting paid, right? Because there's 40 tractors or trucks in every class. We pay back to 12 or 15 spots. Then everybody starts getting frustrated because now it's a true hook position game, right? Like we're all pullers. We know what that's like to be in a big class. Then if this isn't taken care of by January, we're going to the fair convention, right? And not every fair convention or fair manager gives a crap about truck and tractor pulling fan. They don't, okay? And they might say, I got to replace this Friday night thing, and this show costs 40 grand or 30 grand or 100 grand, depending upon what it is. Well, I'm going to bring in a freaking demo derby for $6,000, and now your truck and tractor pull's gone. So I had my eyes open, Greg, on the true impact of losing that association would be to the sport. I mean, those are the potential scary things, Greg, that could happen. And John, you know what I'm saying? So,
we at all the state organizations were going to survive. We had at Louisville. Yep. We had a plan for all the state organizations. We're good. We had insurance already getting lined up. But I think it sounds every week it sounds better what John and Christy are getting done.
Okay. Realistically, and I know you can't pin I know you know more than what you're saying, and I respect that. You're the president of Badger State. But realistically, when will they make a realistically announcement? Like after Christmas, you think, Greg, or before Christmas? What do you think?
I'm hoping by the first of the year, but stuff you get into corporate America and stuff just slows.
I know.
It does. You know that.
Well, insurance, contracts, all that stuff. And then corporate America, also the holidays. I mean, they between Christmas and New Year's, guys, it shuts her down.
Yeah.
The whole thing. So.
From Thanksgiving on, it just seems like everything is just because everybody has a Christmas party and they get that day off, you know, and stuff like that. It's just, it just slows down. I have a lot of faith in John and Christy getting it done. I do.
Okay. Well, I just really wanted to tackle that. And I know you're not afraid to answer that question publicly. Because that is really still the elephant in the room that everybody's talking about. And I really did have my eyes open on the potential of what that would mean to polling if we didn't have them.
Competition makes everything better.
Correct. And there's enough polling to go around for all the major associations. And you're right, the state associations, but those Goshens, those big events like that, that I'm thinking of, like these champion tour type events, Greg, that don't really have a state association to fill a hole on something like that. That's what's kind of scary. So
I got a big confidence booster today when Christy called me and asked me what classes we're looking for in Macville. So that tells me that she's ready to move on and make things happen, right?
Well, and I still see the PPO Facebook page and Instagram getting posted on Greg. John Mears wouldn't have drove. He lives somewhere in Indiana, I think, up to the Dells,
just north of Louisville. Yep.
To just say freaking hi. You know what I mean? If they were going away, I think I'd have my tail between my legs. I'd be running into the woods, wouldn't you?
Right. He's a stand-up guy, though. Even I don't think he'd run away, but he would come up and tell you if it was over.
Okay.
John, stand-up guy. So is Christy, a stand-up person. They're both stand-up people.
John's just a lot taller. That's all I'm saying than Christy.
Right. He's from Ohio. He went to Ohio State. You got to question his education, but
yeah. I can't believe they got into that football playoff. That's a bunch of crap after they got thumped by Michigan like that.
Right.
Is it just a one-win team or what?
Now you got them going, Elsing. Unbelievable.
So, guys, I got to go to my daughter's band concert in 7 minutes. So, if you don't mind, we do a quickie tonight. Is that fine with you guys? We don't have any guests.
Yep. Nope. We can.
Or
whatever.
You guys can keep going. I just have to log off in 7 minutes because it's very important I go to my daughter's band concert, Elsie. So
yes, I understand that. You got to be back by 8 though to do your other show, don't you?
I'm not doing the show. Charles is doing that show. So
all right.
Yep.
All right.
We have on Let's Grow Polling. We're starting off with Brian Lively. They raised $100,000, I think, with that antique tractor they give away, Greg and John.
Yeah.
And then Randall's coming on to talk about the wrap up the NTPA banquet and stuff like that this past weekend. And they hired some people that ran a racetrack in Kansas that are going to kind of help do sponsorship stuff, kind of like what you have to do for the board. You know what I mean? Like to solicit sponsors, I think they're going after some stuff. Randall's going to explain it all for the NTPA. Like Lucas Oil always had the Lucas Oil marketing people out soliciting sponsors, for the Lucas Oil Pro Polling League. And Greg will go to his board and his members, and he asked the pullers, guys, go get us sponsors for the Badger State Tractor Pullers and talk to your vendors. That's that relationship building that Greg really stresses at the meetings and the board of director meetings to them to do that. So,
okay. So I've got some big news about a sponsorship from Badger State for next year that I can't say anything about yet, but it is coming. It'll be good. It'll be $20,000 possible dollars.
Awesome. Way to go. Go. Stanley, I saw some pictures of you had an ugly sweater on. I'm going to go try to find that. Can you talk about your outfit there at the banquet?
It did, yes. It was a bush light sweater with a genome on there. I'm not supposed to say genome with a gnome on there.
Genome? We can say whatever we want. It's our show. So
yeah. Bush light, and then Christopher had a Budweiser one on, and Stacy had a bow tie ugly sweater on. It was beautiful.
Christopher looked like he had a bunch of Christmas lights on him. So.
He did. He had 2 or 3 different outfits.
Yeah. He's getting kind of motsy, or what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. Yeah, he was a candy king. He's a disco dancer, and then he come back with the sweater on finally.
Yep.
Ludwig is a big feller, and he got inducted to the Hall of Fame. Is that correct?
Yes, he did. Yep.
That's awesome.
And so did Lonnie Kramer. And Lonnie Kramer was on the board when my first year on the board in 1993.
Oh, wow.
I believe, and he was on the board, and he was inducted also. And his tractor was the original No Fear Deer.
Oh, okay. Baiters?
But, yep. And they ran it for quite a while until they went to components. So
that's Creedy right there, isn't it?
Yep.
Yep.
He was inducted last year, but couldn't make it to the banquet for because there was a death in his family or something.
Okay.
And he they had him up there and recognized him this year.
Yeah, Brandon posted some photos. I'm flipping through these on the Facebook page a couple hours ago. People go on to read through the comments, and what I love hearing John and Greg is people, they love the history of of how people got started, that they learn about that puller, and I think that's pretty cool. I think that's
Right.
pretty cool. So
Yeah.
Well, I know the Bader boys don't pull with us, but that's one of the places I like to do a shop tour there because they have some pretty cool stuff in their shop.
yeah, we're gonna put that down. I actually had people saying that how at the NTPA banquet, Greg, how they thought that was so cool that you did the shop tour at Fair Valley, you and John, for this show. So I said, no, I said they got plans to do way more. They got plans, and I opened up the show with the throwback video from 2018 of the Pro Stocks, and Bader was one of the ones on the screen there. So
Yep.
good.
So there's
proof
out, but
that Big John. There's proof right there that Big John was at the Badgers. That is not Photoshop. That's at the Badger State banquet. So
no, he was actually there. He had enough drinks. I when we were done, he was ready to go to bed.
well done.
Yep. Josh Dutton, Sportsman of the Year.
Wally Weezy, Sportsman of the Year. Yep. He was shocked. That was great.
Josh is a good dude.
He's very good.
Yes.
He's got a cool shop too. We're going to go see sometime. I mean, I really want people to see where some of these guys build their stuff. It is really, really going to be neat, I think. It's just going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort from John and I.
Yep.
So,
Randy Bader is hoping to be out, according to Derek Gilbertson, next year.
Yep. Gilby, the official hooker of the Badger State Tractor Pullers, says.
Speaking of the hooker, there he is right there. There's a picture of him.
Yeah, this is that's some straight BG shit right there, Elsie and John. Staying alive, staying alive. That's good stuff. So,
yeah, it is.
that is good stuff. But this is the fun. This is the fun of the Badger State pulling family. This is the fun. That Chris is comfortable enough and confident enough to dress like that in front of all his
everybody knows there's going to be no critics there.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of an awesome sweater, there is the Strand Man. So
Bush Light one. Yeah.
That's the Rookie of the Year, Lane Meyer, right? Or is that Cole? Which one's that?
Cole.
That's Cole. And he got Rookie of the Year, right?
No, Cole got the scholarship.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Cole.
I was trying to keep up with all the Facebook posts as I was driving home on all the stuff I missed from the banquet. So I missed that one there. So
if you got a picture of Lane got Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Brother.
Butson's got a little bow tie on. That looks good on Stacy. I'm not gonna lie. That kind of fits his personality as far as I'm concerned. So
Right.
I like that.
Right.
Yep.
It was fun.
So this kind of looks like a mob movie. We got Phil. We got you go take care of that night, right, Stanley?
Picture Pete and repeat.
The Witt brothers, Jeff Witt and Witt.
Sorry, Rick.
Right.
He won the points. That's right.
Yeah. Willie is always entertaining when you get him in front of people.
Very, very entertaining.
Very good.
He doesn't like talking on the mic or being in front of it, but yeah, he does. He does a good job.
Yeah, he's a dandy.
Whenever I see him, I just pretend I'm live on Facebook and I go up to him because he's always like, Schultz, get that phone out of my face. Because every time I do that. I think I was in Baraboo one day and I was at a stoplight. I was visiting a realtor and he pulled up next to me at a stoplight and I rolled down the window. He goes, "You live?" And it was just funny. He's such a hoot. He's such a hoot.
Hot energy.
Yeah. There's a 2-wheel drive class, the guys that were there for the banquet. I'm just buzzing through these because I got to go to my daughter's band concert. But there's our Pro Stock Diesel Truck Champ, one of the Funkin' Groovins. Funkin' Movin'.
Yeah.
There's our 3-6 guys. So
yep.
I'm glad John Holder made it this year. He was sick last year. So
yeah.
There's the Pro Farm guys.
Yep.
All I see is Tracy Paulson in that picture, right? We talked about that before. So there's your husband. We got to be careful. So,
So there was a lot of questions about the Pro Farm class, and Kenny Mike now on the board, and he says he's going to get us 6 tractors or 7. So hopefully that happens by the fair convention. The deal was if you give me some numbers, some guys are going to show up. we'll sell the class again. If it's going to be a little light, it's hard to sell, you know.
Yep. So.
Very much.
And that picture right there sums up the fun that the Super Farm guys have. So.
Yep.
Yep.
So.
Don't get any better than that.
I want to see some fellers pick up Craig. I want to see the Pro Stock guys pick up Craig Ladwig. Can we put that together, Elsing? You guys, there's enough of you now.
Make sure you build a Pro Stock tractor so you can help.
Oh, shoot. All right.
Enter
Do you want me to leave this going for you guys to keep chatting, or do you want me to end it? It's up to you. We have a lot of people watching still. If you guys have more to talk about, I have to walk out the door.
Well, John, we can go over a few more things, right?
Sure.
Just
Okay.
what do you want us to do when we're done? Just hit the leave thing and be done?
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Well, love you guys. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right. Thank you, Jason. Good luck at the concert. So another thing, John, we talked about a rule thing was the fuel testing procedures. You know, the one vote was going to go all. One thought was to go all VP fuel, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody kind of didn't want to do that. You know, the hot farm class is still VP only, but we just have to come up with a clear testing procedure that everybody can understand. The fire thing is there, and we're just going to put some numbers to it on what you have to do. You know, because it is kind of vague, but diesel fuel don't burn like that. Some of what we've seen, you know.
Yes. And you got to do something to keep it even between the classes. So that is the only class that voted just VP only.
Yep. The reason you have to be careful with the fuel. What happens if there's a fire and it's something you can't put out?
Yes.
You know, or it flames. You know, you don't have the right fire extinguisher there to put something out that might be in that fuel, and somebody gets hurt. That's why you have to keep an eye on fuel, because I guarantee the fuel manufacturer doesn't want to stand behind it if something happens on the track. Correct?
True.
You know, so everybody says, well, they'll run whatever you want. Nah, you can't, guys. You can't. It's not, you have to tell the fire department what's in there. So what's in the fuel, so they have something there to put it out if it starts on fire.
And if you don't, you open the door to other things too. Well, if you can run whatever you want for fuel, what about putting nitrous in there? Oh, what about this? What about that? Rules are there for a reason. And that's what they're there for. Safety, number one. Two,
right,
to keep the competition even. And, you know, fuel's always been, I think, a debate for many, many years, hasn't it?
It has been, yeah. And it's always been an argument. I mean, 20 years ago, the crazy stuff people were doing with fuel, would never work today. You know, and I know in some of the higher horsepower classes, the fuel that works in lower classes does not work. You know, it won't run, or it won't, you know, it's too hot. I mean, you can't control it right, because you're putting, I don't know, putting so much more in. I wouldn't know. I'd have to ask an engine guy, but you know,
you're putting more air fuel into it where you don't really need it. Where, like, same thing with, you get the racing fuels and some of the alcohols where they got oxygenated fuel, oxygenated alcohol. They got different, you know, like racing fuel. You can get 110, 112, 114, 116, 118, and, you know, same thing when you get into methanol alcohol. You got M1 alcohol, which is just straight methanol, and then right on up, oxygenated alcohol, you know, then you go right, you take off into, you know, the top fuel. So
that's like in the rule book, it says no oxygenating agents in diesel fuel. It says right, but there's guys figuring out ways to put it in there. And no matter what you do, when you make a rule, somebody's going to try and work their way around it. So, and you can't get mad when they do. You can't get upset, because we've been watching it. I've been watching it for 30 some years now in tractor pulling. When somebody makes a rule, they want to know exactly what it is, so they want to know what they can do to get around it, you know. And so next year you're going to change the rule because they came up with something new. It's always going to change.
Like NASCAR, where there's that much money that they've done that for years. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just, you know, NASCAR, there's so much money invested into what they're doing. They spent the money to, you know, figure it out and push it all. So,
right. And we've been suggested, bring fuel along and let it, make everybody buy it here and run it. Well, who wants to carry that along? And then the next thing is, what happens if your injection pump goes to hell and your pump builder says, well, you're running poor fuel in here, you know, and then he's going to come back to you again and say, hey, you gave me this fuel and wrecked my injection pump.
Yeah.
You know, so how do you you can't do that. And I know there's clubs that do it, but it's a big project.
It is, yeah, and you got to put somebody to it that's going to stick to it week in and week out. And
Right.
you know, take for instance like Louisville. Louisville, they still send the fuel and water for super farms.
Yep.
So,
So your fuel and water.
So I know do whatever you want to do, but this is what's going to be in the tank for our pole.
Right. Just that class is what's crazy down there, is that, which is fine. If we pull there, we bring our own fuel and water along, but it just makes it one more hassle, because you know what your tractor's dialed in at the dyno on for fuel, and then you got to use somebody else's.
Yeah, and it could be quite a bit different.
It could be. Yeah, they say like in a super farm, they'll say pump fuel to say VP might be 80 horse sometimes, or 100 horse. That's them. I know them super farm guys will spend all kinds of money on 30 horse.
It's harder when you're limited, that size charger. But look at how, take Super Farm for instance. When Super Farms come out, what were they, 800-900 horse? 600
when I started.
Yeah, 600. Now you add 1,000. You add 1,100 horse to that nowadays.
Yep.
That's where they're at. They're bouncing around between 1,650 and 1,750, somewhere in there. The ones that got a lot of things figured out. And, through the years of dynoing, 50 horse here, 10 horse here, 12 horse here, that all adds up, and the turbochargers and pumps and injection is far superior than what it was then,
Just super farm too, it isn't just horsepower, it's the torque they're making now too. They chase torque just as much as they chase horsepower.
Yeah.
Make them numbers, and just changing your injection, your injector spray pattern just a little bit might make you 100 horse, might lose you 100 horse. That's why you have to go to the dyno and try stuff.
Yeah.
I remember
when you get it outside the hole, that's when it burns the whole piston.
Yep. If you advance your timing too much and start spraying outside the bowl, you're going to make a lot of power right up to that point.
Yep.
Then you got to. I remember the old Jerry Legat at Hypermax. Before anybody dynoed, we all bought a Hypermax Super Farm Turbo. And you'd buy this turbo, and it's supposed to be better, and you really couldn't tell it in the seat. It's a new one. It's the better one. And then everybody'd get it bought. You'd get all of a sudden you come up with a new one again. So everybody had to. That's just how it went. But nowadays, guys are a little smarter. I shouldn't say guys are a little smarter, but they cost so much more that I'm going to try it on the dyno, because there's turbos out there that work for red tractors and didn't work for green ones, and vice versa. And if the head flows or something, they're just different.
Yep, where the head is. Yeah, there's a lot of different things to it, and well, probably closer now. More super farms and stuff got a lot of the same intercoolers, but when new intercoolers come out too, everybody had a different kind of intercooler, and this one made more horse, and then all of a sudden everybody was buying that one, and some guys would make their own and make them work too. So,
well, and some guys would build them too big or too small. It's such a the same one that works up intercooler on pro stock will not work on a super farm.
Nope.
They can't just put enough air through them.
And look at all the classes, even, look at Hot Farm where they started out, what they make for power now, and pro stock. I mean, limited pro today probably runs more power than a pro stock did in '98.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think back then they were talking 1,200, 1,500 horse for a pro stock. And now, some of them are over 4,000, pushing 4,500. I hear. Mine's not, but I hear that.
Yeah, that's insane.
Technology in mine. Not really.
Yeah.
The driver might be 98 miles.
Right, yeah.
Right.
What was the other discussions going on when I had to take off there to go help with the ceremony stuff, but other discussions, polls, all the polls, everybody wants to go to the same polls yet, and sled stuff, same thing.
Sleds were a question, that some of the sled guys can't carry enough weight legally down the highway for the pro stock class. If the pro stock class gets on a good track, a lot of these guys, that's why they're going 380 feet. That's too far.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out how to carry a weight along, say, if a sled gets there and he can't bring enough with him, we might have to, like John Mears in the PPL trailer. He's got a semi trailer dedicated though to all the stuff he needs, at each event. They have 4 extra weights in their sled or in their trailer for that sled. You know, most state organizations don't carry that around, but I guess we're thinking about it. Maybe one or two, you know, but it's I don't know. It's something we have to talk about. And then the sleds and what they're doing. I mean, just try to keep up. If you go look at sleds, you know, and you look at some of the newest ones and how much heavier the drive lines are in them, the chains and stuff in them are just heavier. You know, it might not be because that guy doesn't know what he's doing. It's just that thing was built when pro stocks were 3,500 horse. Now they're 4,500 horse, and the sled up with that too. You know,
they've had to evolve with the time.
Yep.
When we redid our sled, we put a bunch of different things we've seen in there. A lot we learned from Johnny Peterson and Brad Crookton, and then also Tom Van Huysen's sled. We took something off of there that the Iron Anchor does too. Is if you notice, like Fritz and them with that, he's got the stops for the box, and like at Jefferson, they roll a box ahead and they pull these stop bars out and then put it in there and bring the box back. So the box is like 2 foot further forward on the sled, taking off from the starting line, which kind of really gives the pro stocks more hits right away, but also it catches up to them quicker, you know, reels them in a little better.
And they've also had to start changing the pivot points on the pans to do different things. You know, they're changing that, guys. I think they're moving them forward is what I think. I'm not sure, but I'd have to look at them. Well, that's going to be one of the neat things. You know, if we go on the shop tour, I've talked to Vaughn Bauer and Brandon Bungart, and we're going to try and do their shops too and see where they build. I mean, that's a weekend trip there, though.
Yeah.
You know, have to get some camping gear, huh? Or a tent.
Yeah, a couple. You know, one's going to get damaged on the way.
We don't have much of a budget here.
Be sleeping in the pick.
But it'll be fun. You know, I just said, well, let's just rent a camper for the weekend and pay for it. And if we go do it, right? You know, Camp RV World, they cost, and they don't seem like much, but try it, right?
We know a guy.
We know a guy?
Yeah, we know a guy that's got a camper.
Yeah. But he's going to be in Florida, I think.
Yeah, probably so, yeah. Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, but other than that, what else did you think about the meeting? Or our meetings went pretty good. All the class reps are the same, got voted in. Just so people know how they do it, each class in Badger State nominates 2 people in their class to be on the board of directors. And what I always say is, guys, you got to, if you're on the board of directors here, you have to do what the majority of your class wants, not what you might not feel that way. But if there's 12 guys in your class and 8 of them voted to go this way, you have to vote the way the majority of that class thought in their breakout session. So during our meeting, we have a 45-minute time where each class gets together and talks about issues that they might want changed for the next year. Yeah. You know, and that way it gets put in it, you know. And
I always liked how you guys did that. And even when I was with Tri-County, I switch things that way so that the classes, you know, your class voted on what you wanted, not somebody else's class. You know, you got skin in the game in the pro stock class and limited pro, but not the light limited. So, you know, why would you vote on the rules for that? Unless it's a general safety item or whatever, but I think that cuts out a lot of BS.
It does. Well, and then what shortened our meetings up a lot is not having the members vote on stuff. The members class get to vote on their stuff in their class, but the actual rule, when it's approved and put in there, is put in by the board of directors. You know, 90% of the time when say a class comes up with an idea and the 2 class reps come to the general member or the board of directors meeting, 90% of the time we go with whatever they want, unless you know, like the Hot Farm guys wanted 24.5 tires a few years ago, and we said, oh, they're all talking, you can buy Firestones for $2,500. Guys, you're not going to buy $2,500 Firestones with hole shots out here and Mitas and all that. Now you're all going to go buy the $15,000 tires. And this is supposed to be more of a starter class. If you have the money to buy tires, go up a class. That's the way I feel. If you want to go faster or make more power, don't try to do it in your class that you have that's really doing well. Don't change it. Move up a class. You know, but everybody somebody told me this weekend, everybody's vision is down the hood of their tractor.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of made sense to me. I remembered that. And you have to have, if you're gonna be the guy in charge, you just have to put your tractor off to the side and look what's good for the best for the people.
What's the greater good for the club?
Yep.
And that is, it's hard sometimes, like you say, there's something somebody brings up and you don't totally agree with because you could see the outcome of that, what the outcome could be, or, that's good. This is a good idea, but this and this may happen if you do that,
Right. Right.
It's hard.
Yep, it is. And when I always watch too, when somebody's going to be making some money at this too. I mean, if they're selling you parts or selling, whatever, and they have you have to watch that opinion. I think really do. If they're actually making a living selling a pull or something, and they want the rules changed to fit what they're selling, I generally don't agree with it. They better give me a pretty dang good reason why they want that done.
Yeah, and also, before we do vote on that, we're going to talk to a couple other people that sell the same thing you do. We're going to get a good view of all this before we put it in there.
Right, and one thing a lot of people probably don't realize, that our banquet day is the only day you can change competition rules.
Yep.
Is the only day. I mean, we can't go back and change safety rules. We can change anytime we want. If we see something that's not safe, we're going to change it right away. But competition rules have to be done at that banquet.
It's good though they do that once a year too. Otherwise, you're going to have, that's where more squabbling starts, and then you got competition's tough when everybody there is a fierce competitor. When you're outside the trailer, you're more than welcome to help everyone out, and you need a part, I'll give you a part, and heck, if you need my help with something, I'll help you put it together or whatever. But when you put your helmet on, everybody is the fiercest competitor around, and still an element in there, but you got to keep that in realm, keep it real. Right. But
nobody minds losing on an even playing field. If somebody beats me all even, hey, I better go do my homework and do better next time. But if somebody might be doing something a little fishy, that's when you get, and that's the job of the directors and stuff in Badger State and any other club, to make sure that fishy stuff is not happening. And follow through with some of the testing procedures. And I know we're as good as anybody about it, but we don't do enough either.
Yep.
And
people ask me before when we were at a poll that they see the tech officials going in and out of the trailers, and I think it was at Monroe a few years ago, and a guy that was there asked me, he says, what's that guy with the Lucas shirt on? Why is he going in and out of them trailers like that? And I explained to him what they were doing, testing the air gate and checking it out. Each tractor that was there, even, whether it's with our organization or from another one, and making sure that safety stuff is in place and working.
Yep. We have to do a little bit more of that too. We at a couple of the first events, I feel like we have to not just pull air gates and stuff. We have to get under the hoods and make sure the safety stuff, shrouds are around the pumps and stuff up front, your dampener and all that. I mean, that's one of the rules, is you have to have a shroud up. I'm not going to say the number of the thickness because I don't know it off the top of my head around the dampener, because if that crank ever breaks off, we've all seen them. That dampener weighs 75 pounds. It is scooting down the track or towards the people just like a tire would go flying, and probably even faster, and it's a solid chunk of steel.
Yeah. And the big thing of that too is when you get to Badger State or PPL and TPL, name whatever sanction body there is, the safety rules are a big thing. And with insurance, where you go to brush pulls where there's not a lot of safety there, that's what makes it more expensive for rest of the pullers and other organizations, because they do have it. But it's you can't take that element out of it. Safety's number one, and families are sitting in the stands.
Well, right, and that's something that people don't know. If you want to go out, say Lucas Oil's out shopping for insurance right now, you can't just go to an insurance company and buy it. That insurance company wants to see what you have for safety rules and equipment in place before they're willing to give you a number, quote you a number for insurance. It's not just I can go down the street here and buy insurance for this. And then you got to have a deductible, and then I know Lucas Oil has a huge dollar amount in an escrow account for the deductibles. on stuff. He's not self-insured, but he's got that there.
Yeah.
You know, I think that helps with his rate, our rate.
Yeah.
And like when we're with Lucas Oil, there's 300 events that are insured on that we buy the policy for, and that helps our rate a lot. I mean, I think, insurance right now is $1,000 an event for us. And I think if we had to go out and buy that level of insurance by ourselves for our 30 events, it'd be, I'd have to imagine be over $5,000. And you have to pass that on to the fair board, and they're not going to do that. There's some fairs that are happy to make $5,000 after an event.
Yes.
So if anytime we raise the price, that gets, so they made 4,000 this time. Then they're starting to think this ain't worth having these guys here.
Yeah. And this gets hard, and just like Badger State, where you're looking for sponsors and gaining sponsors, they are as well to sponsor the poll to have Badger State there that night. And the smaller the organization, like a smaller venue rather than like a big county fair or something, the harder it is. And especially if they're in close areas of other polls, throughout the summer. Take like southern Wisconsin, you're like Brooklyn, Edgerton, Utica. Those polls are like 10 miles apart.
Yep.
So it's harder to do.
Right. And you got to do something special to get those people to come to your event.
Yes.
It's tough. We've all been there and we're all there. And that's something we kind of discussed years ago, whether we should go try and steal some of these better events. And I guess what we came up with was, let's not steal events. Let's make ours better than them. Let's say, make our polls better than theirs.
Yeah.
I love Toma to go pull there. It's a party, a great party. But if you're going to watch a pull for real pulls, Hillsborough is better. In my opinion, it's a better track. It's a faster show. And I think it's better. As far
even with the TV stuff, they do TV at both. And I think, I don't know, I've announced one of them year after year for many years, but sitting through the other one, and I love to go to Toma too. I've always loved to go there. And, if I had a super farm or if I had a Hemi and a mini rod, I'd love to pull there one time just to say I did it,
Right.
But I'm not going to bring my knife to a gunfight up there.
No.
But it's a good event, but like you say, you try and make one better. So,
and we go and we help, and we send Pat Hack as a great asset to our club. And we pay him if a track needs help, and some of the guys, it ruffles their feathers a little bit when we say, hey, can we send our guy down to help you get this track ready? And some guys are pretty proud of them tracks and stuff. But like I said before, he's been building that track for 25, 30 years. Well, 30 years ago, these tractors had 1,200 horse. Now they're at 4,500 horse. We have to build them. Just like be different, the tracks have to be different. And in the old days, they used to say they wanted them tracks hard as a rock. Well, no, you don't want that anymore.
No. I'd rather have the stickiest track that almost pulls your shoe off because it's going to take horsepower. You're not going to over rev the motor. You're not going to hurt the tires. And the sled can get a hold of it.
Yeah. If the sled can get a hold of it, the tractor can get a hold of it, then you've got a good show going. And it's something that we need to address a little bit more, is helping with these tracks, because if you wreck stuff, if the tractors get wrecked because of the track, I mean, engine parts, you can't just go get them anymore. They're hard. Carl Kahn waiting on an injection pump for his Pro Stock for 2 years because on the case, the pump turns a different direction, I guess. I don't know the case or not, but that's what I was told. Case Pro Stocks are out there. And he wants to stick with a case block, which he had recast, and he's got a beautiful tractor there. He's got to get it finished.
Yep. That's hard. Yeah. And ours, for instance, when we go to tracks like that, most of us guys with our stuff that's smaller and high horsepower, you get a track like that, I got every last weight I own on the nose because it's got to be there because it's going to be stood right up.
Yep.
You go to a track that doesn't hook and you got it all in the back and you're not picking it up. Well, I think people would rather see us standing them on end and hanging on to them for our life, Right.
Well, and that's some of the lighter class tractor classes too. People probably don't realize that guys put all their weights up front, and then you always run around your drawbar at 20 inches because that's your best pull down. But can't get enough weight in the front, you better move your drawbar a little bit so you can drive it.
Yep.
Now,
And that's the trick of it. And the other thing is, take like a 540 light pro versus a 10,000 pound pro stock. The pro stock's getting in deeper into the ground than like the 540 is because it's that much lighter. And you got a lot of wheel speed. The wheel speed's probably not too far off, but it's a lot lighter and trying to get it to hook.
Right. Well, and even I had the boys pull with the light pros in Macville a couple years ago. They were there and the guy said, I'll just jump in. Well, Avery got second place. And it's part of it was because them guys really had to get after them with them big turbos to get them spun up and get going. Well, Avery could drive it out with the small turbo on a 4.1, but it's bigger cubes. But you could drive out and just walk it out and get going on that track, and that's the difference. So you wonder, but you couldn't compete in that class all day long all year with a 4.1 turbo on a 540.
Right.
So it's. You want to say put smaller back on so you can drive it. Well, no, them guys are going to get hooked up and they're going to take it to town.
Yeah.
So
I think I remember Avery doing that. And you guys run the same weight as they did too, didn't you? You took the weight off.
Yep. There's no weight to get pounds up front.
Yeah.
But he liked it. He said, I'd rather drive in that class. That was fun. Had all that weight in front end and air, dancing all the way down the track. So,
yeah.
Yeah. You got to change everything then.
Yeah.
I think whenever they're driving, they're kids, right?
Yep. No, it was good. Yeah, there was just a few things like Adam was talking about the rules. I think a lot of that you covered, so there wasn't much other changes for rules, and it seemed like a pretty harmonious group coming out of there.
It was a pretty happy group. Everybody was happy. Everybody had fun. The hotel was sold out. Or there wasn't a room left in the place. Tim from Dubuque, Tim, the president of the ECI guys, Vorwald. He's up there. He says, I think I got to step our banquet up a little bit. He said, you always hear. I like to hear people to come and say what they're doing, and I like people to learn from us too because it makes it all better. Our first banquet, the first time I went to one, it was in Janesville, and I don't think there was 30 people there. My points check for running all year, which was only like 5 hooks, was $160. So it's got, it has. So, but we've been friends. I made good friends that day, and I made good friends this year at the banquet every year. I'm getting old, can't remember names, but you make good friends all the time.
You can't put a dollar amount on that.
You can't, and the people that we pull with every day as family, every person that got up there and accepted their championship or any award they got talked about the Badger State family.
Yes.
They did, didn't they? And
yes.
I bet glad we got tears in his eyes, that big burly bad. And so did everybody else. They all get choked up. You did too when you're a professional at this and you got up there. And it's hard to get in front of people and talk about your feelings.
Oh, it's the hardest thing to do. Yeah. Very hardest.
And them, speaking from the heart.
Yes. And them that don't, a couple of them chattering, and I told them about a little story that I told Jared Rip. And I said, hey, I got this figured out for you guys. I know you don't like talking to me up there, but the only way you can not get away with it is not win. So, you get close to second place, shut her down.
Right. End of the year.
Greg, but...
talk. That's why I didn't want to get up there and talk. Right?
Yeah. Yep. You're embarrassed. You didn't want to get up there. I'm not talking to him.
Right.
He's got that hideous sweater on. No way.
Yeah. Well, I can tell Stacy's sweater's itching because he was trying to sneak back to the fire brick wall behind him and scratch his back. I was laughing.
Yeah, I seen that too. Yeah.
Itchy sweater. Yeah. But the other thing I like too, John, is the generations of pullers. The Meyer boys that were both on there. They were they were baby baskets at one point coming to the polls. My kids were, and then Brinkmeyer boys, and everybody, all the kids that that are new and coming in, and you see them come up. They're all the Meyer boys and stuff. Their families and three generations of pullers driving that one tractor. Cole and Lane Meyer were driving Grandpa's tractor, and then Dad drove it, and then the boys were driving it.
Yeah, that's really cool to see, and to be around and see all that is a huge thing. And I remember when they were little, and Kathy was up helping me with the books, and I was announcing, and I think we're at Pecatonica, and the boys were playing in like a sand pile right behind the announcer stand, and she could see them right where they were at. And next thing you know, they come up to the top there, and one was missing a shoe. She's like, really? I think you're like 6 and 7 or something back then, and then now here they are driving the tractor, and they're good boys, and they work hard, and Grandma lets them drive, and they work on that tractor just as proud as hell.
Yep.
That's good. Should be.
Nick Gallett's a story told about Nick Gallett's. I remember him drawing pictures of all the tractors, sitting up at the announcer stands with Kelly and you and whoever else was up there. Nick would draw pictures, and he knew every tractor, where it was from and what it did last night.
He knew what it was doing last year, because if I was announcing, like when they're in Super Farm, last year Greg Elsing won this poll last year. All of a sudden he'd tug on my shirt. When I get done, I look at him and I go, "What's up, Nick?" No, Greg didn't win last year. Al Wright won last year. That's who won. But he was right. Kelly would go back in the computer and look, and she's like, he's spot on.
Right. Yep.
He remembered all that.
Yep. And he'd look up from his coloring crayons when I was up there, and he'd watch it, and he'd go back to color and he'd tell you what he thought. Or
Yeah.
Was a busy kid.
Yeah.
But that's what I enjoy. And I remember, all these younger guys coming up and taking over, and then I really do like it, and it's good. And that the parents are with them, when you work with my boys could take an engine apart when they were 12 years old with me and help put it together, and work on stuff. And not many families have that opportunity to spend that quality time together.
And that's
sometimes it's not because they get mad at me.
Yeah, that's the key, family together and what you're doing. What I really like is the firsts, seeing the firsts that show up, either someone new coming and they win their first Badger State pull, or like your kids pulling, and it's the first time that they get to drive, or first time that they won their class, or to win a championship or something. That is kind of the neatest thing. You remember that Snapchat, that picture, of that day. It's really neat to watch unfold.
It is. And just the memories you made. And even if, just traveling with people, even if you aren't pulling that day, but you meet somebody. And, I had a puller a few weeks ago. His truck was broke down, and he's from Illinois, and one of his truck drivers up here broke down at the co-op down at the feed mill. He asked me if I could go down and get it fixed. And I said, yeah, I'll go down there and get it fixed. We'll get it moving again. And I know if I had something like that happen, somebody would do it for me too.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
Yep. So
the whole family part is the people that you meet along the way. Since I've been a kid, pulling with my dad so many years, and if he wouldn't have got me into this sport, I'd have never met you guys. Never run into the people that I have, and so I kind of owe that to him. He's been gone 12 years now, and my boy's driving. Boy, I could already see him smiling, getting in the truck, going to a pull, with us. And, but
Yep.
Here nor there, but yeah.
Right. It's all fun, and I think the haulers and everything have gotten different from the old. Remember, everybody used to come in with a pickup and a gooseneck, and now everybody's got semis and big trailers and haulers. But it is right.
Times changed, but boy, even us too. You had an open trailer back in the day, and we got enclosed trailers to throw the tractors into. You can keep your tools in there. Everything's dry when it rains, and the bugs are off of them, and so much better. You can stop somewhere and eat dinner. Nobody's gonna mess with it. And
yep. So I was out a couple weeks ago, and some lady that had never been to a tractor pull before had been to the one at the Baraboo Fair. She came in and she said, I didn't realize that the haulers and everything, what's good. She'd never been to one before. What you guys do. And now she's a fan, She said she was more impressed with some of the haulers than actually the poll. I don't know, whatever. Everybody's got their thing they look at, right?
Yeah, there's some nice ones.
One thing I always talk about now the haulers who had the biggest haulers isn't the main thing anymore, right? It's who flies in on the biggest private jet. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
one told I was down at I think it was Louisville last year. One puller said talking about his new plane, and he said, "Yeah, his plane will fit in a cup holder of mine." you know, so now these, I'm trying to compete against clowns, but
Yeah.
it's all fun,
I can only imagine what that checkbook looks like with the zipper on it.
right? Yeah, if you got to put the zipper out, well, yeah, I don't have one of
The
them.
big one.
Yep, the big book.
Yeah. Holds about 4 checks in a row.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll never know.
Nope. So, other than that,
So,
anything else we could bring up, or we got a couple minutes?
I think it was a fun weekend. It's great. Those that are watching that don't get a chance, anybody can go to the banquet. So keep an eye next year, and if you're interested in coming, get yourself a ticket and show up. And it's a fun night. It is a great night. And the good part about it is it's actually an event. You see your competitors get awards, and you can sit and chat with guys that you don't get time to in the summer.
Right.
You're going from the pole, we got to load up. We got to get home. We got to start early in the morning. We got this to do. It's busy all summer long, and you finally get a spot where the trucks and tractors are parked, and we can all sit and chat and have a couple drinks and relax for the night.
Right. The one thing we didn't talk about is Tom Gallett's winning the raffle again. He's won it $25,000 twice.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
He's got a horseshoe.
He doesn't have to steal that from him sometime.
Yes.
Believe it when you write his name off.
Yeah.
Happier. And I don't think he buys a lot of tickets either. He just got.
Talking to him, I think he sold like 3 books, and I think he ended up selling 1 ticket out of the last book, and he ended up buying 4.
Wait,
he was telling that he bought one, he put Kathy's name on one, and the 2 kids on the other 2, and that was it.
I think we're on the other ones he's talked, right?
Yep. So well,
I think we're good, huh?
You bet. Yes. So we'll be working on different things.
We'll have a shop tour next week. I guarantee it. We will have a shop. So somewhere, it might be live, might be recorded. We'll get one done.
Yep.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, John. Thank you, everybody. See you later.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Yep. Thank you.
You need a zero. You got it. No.